Hi, my name is Lindsay and I donated to a stranger approximately 9 months ago. I didn't think much about kidney disease until a good friend of the family needed a new kidney and I was signed up to be her donor. When I learned what kidney failure would mean for my recipient, that's what made me decide to go as a non-directed donor, because I watched my friend die. When I learned about the kidney disease treatment options, I was actually surprised that we haven't come further in the time that we have, and I was surprised that there's not more living donors than there are. I ultimately decided to donate a kidney because I knew in my heart that I was a match for my friend. We were basically a perfect match. And then when we could not get to the surgery in time to save her, I saw what her family went through. I felt it myself. I felt the pain of losing someone to something that is completely curable. Only if someone would give something of themselves that is not necessarily needed for them to live. It's a spare. It's something that you can live without. So after she passed, I did decide to stay in the non-directed, just because I didn't want another family to go through that pain. I felt it firsthand, and it is not fun, and it is not something anybody ever deserves to go through. When it comes to my family, my children were more worried about the surgery itself for donation. I had to assure them that surgeries like that happen every day, and even worse ones happen every day, and things would be just fine. My husband was worried that if I gave away my kidney to somebody else and one of my kids needed it, that it wasn't there for the future. I assured him that he is a universal donor, and that if one of my children needed a kidney, that he would be a match, that I knew he would. My mom supported me. My mom knows that I would do anything in this world for anybody. My dad was and is still scared of the repercussions that could come from donating a kidney, but I assured him that I am prepared to face those repercussions if they happen, and I assured him that everything will be fine. I even made sure I took each one of the concerned parties to my doctor with me so they could hear the pros and cons of doing it. So the process got harder or scarier for me when I watched my friend die. We were 3 days from surgery, and complications came up that she was going to be unable to do the surgery. While they were trying to fix them, it was only about 2 weeks later, and she passed away from the complications. What scared me was the fact that we could get so close but still so far away, and there was nothing you could do about it. As I was being rolled into the operating room, my thoughts were with my friend who had passed, that I knew this was something that she would have wanted also. My thoughts were also with the 18-year-old girl that was getting my kidney. And my thoughts were also with the other 6 people that were getting kidneys that day, because I was the last person in a chain of 7. I was the final link. It just kept ringing in my head on how 7 families would not have to go through the pain that we went through because of this surgery. And that's all I could think about. There was no fear, there was no apprehension. There was basically only eagerness to get in there and get it done. The best moment after my surgery, I guess there was a couple. It was coming out of the fog and seeing my husband and my children there, and seeing their smiles. And then later in the day, it was seeing the husband of my passed away friend, who came to make sure I was okay. And when he saw me, he gave me a big hug and made sure to tell me that he knows his wife is smiling down on me and he is very proud of me. All of those moments made me cry, and I'll never forget them. My recovery went pretty well. I was able to come home and after 2 days do it at home. It was supposed to take 4 to 6 weeks. My pain level was pretty moderate for a couple of days, but after that things went back to normal. No pain meds. I was up and moving after 2 days at home, walking, making sure I stayed doing physical things. I was back to work after 3 weeks, but my work isn't very labor intensive. But all in all, I think the recovery went well and things were back to normal pretty quick within a couple of weeks. What I learned about myself is that I'm stronger than I thought I was. Through dealing with the passing of my friend, through dealing with the surgery, to dealing with the recovery. But it's mostly what I learned about others. That even though parts of my family were not supportive of what I was doing, they still supported me. That they love and care for me and were there to make sure I was okay. And that, to me, was the greatest thing I could have learned, is that no matter what I do, whether they agree with it or not, that they are there for me and that they love me. After donating my kidney, my health and my lifestyle really hasn't changed. I've gone back to the way things were. I do have to kind of make sure that I'm doing everything the way I need to for my health, but it's fairly easy. There is not any special circumstances or special things that I have to do. Something that I didn't expect when starting this process was, and like I said in the beginning, it was to save a friend. I didn't expect that we wouldn't get to that day where she would get what she needed, where she would live. I didn't expect for her to pass away. I also didn't expect that when I stayed in the non-directed pool that it would be the link in the chain of 7. So there was a lot of unexpecteds. If I could do it all over again, I would have jumped on board for my friend sooner than I did, and maybe she would have lived. But I know things work out the way they're supposed to, and I can't second guess any decisions. That the world works in mysterious ways. I think the best thing about donating my kidney was I grew a lot closer to my original recipient's family. But there's also knowing that at least I know my recipient in the end was an 18-year-old girl that, because of something I did, she's now going to be able to grow up and have a full life. She's going to be able to get married. She's going to be able to hopefully one day experience having children of her own, having a family, and being able to live a full, successful life compared to what she previously had. That's a good feeling. That's what makes it worth it. The best advice I could give someone who is looking at being a kidney donor is, one, to make sure your support system is there, that you have the people around you that are going to be there for you through the whole process, because it is a very emotional process. Two, to make sure that you get all the information, that you weigh the pros and cons versus your lifestyle, that you make sure that this is something you're willing to do, and that you know what the possible outcomes could be. Not every outcome is great. Some have complications, some just for some reason regret it after they do it. So just make sure you're fully informed, and that you have all of the information, and that you go through it with your doctor, with your family, and that you make sure you fully understand the implications one way or the other of what you're doing.